Artificial intelligence is built on a foundation of human knowledge. The thing is, for years, it's been getting all that knowledge for free. Well, it looks like the bill is finally coming due, and honestly, it could change everything.
And that brings us to the central question, right? AI models, they seem to create magic out of thin air. But really, they're just incredibly fast readers. They consume the entire internet. So who's footing the bill for the people who actually wrote it all? Think of it like this. For an AI to get smart, it needs to read a gigantic library. And for decades, publishers and journalists have been the ones filling all those shelves. The catch? Well, it's like AI has been using a free library card this whole time, and the authors are finally sending an invoice.
So that invoice, it really gets at a fundamental conflict here. AI has been getting a lot of heat, and for good reason, for just using content without paying the creators. And believe me, this tension is shaking up the whole industry.
Look, at the end of the day, it just boils down to this huge clash of needs. On one side, you have AI companies that absolutely require high-quality data from sources like the New York Times and the Wall Street Journal to even be useful. But on the other side, publishers are arguing their work is being scraped without any permission or payment. And now they're starting to fight back, and they're doing it in court.
But what if there was a different way? There's one company stepping right into the middle of this fight, and they're proposing a solution that could really change the game. So let's dive in and see what this AI search engine, Perplexity, is bringing to the table.
Yeah, so Perplexity AI, they're not just sitting around waiting for the courts to figure this out. Nope. They're tackling the issue directly, announcing a whole new model built specifically to pay publishers when their work gets used in an AI answer.
They're calling it Comet Plus. And the idea is simple. It's a new subscription plan where a slice of that revenue goes straight back to the publishing partners, whose content is actually fueling the answers you get.
And we're not just talking about some small token gesture here. Perplexity has reportedly set aside $42.5 million for this program. I mean, that's a serious chunk of change, and it really signals they're ready to find a new way forward.
Okay, so there's a big pot of money on the table, but how does it actually get from Perplexity's bank account to the publishers? Because, the mechanics here are absolutely key. Perplexity has laid out 3 main ways this works. First up, you've got human visits. This one's pretty straightforward. A user clicks a link to a partner's website, boom, the publisher gets paid. Second, search citations. Whenever Perplexity pulls from a publisher's content for one of its AI summaries, that triggers a revenue share. And this third one, agent actions, this is where it gets really interesting. This is when the AI basically does the work for you. Like, it goes out and reads a bunch of reviews to find the best camera, and then summarizes its findings. That action also means the publisher gets paid. And you can see there's a real philosophy behind this whole approach. Perplexity's head of communications, Jesse Dwyer, put it this way. The goal is to create a model where publishers and journalists actually benefit from the fact that their work is being used to make the internet and the AI that relies on it better. But, a move like this doesn't just happen in a vacuum. To get the full picture and understand why this is so important, we really have to zoom out and look at the huge shifts happening across the entire industry. Yeah, this is definitely not some random act of goodwill. It's a strategic response to some serious mounting pressure. You have to understand, the ground is literally shifting under the feet of these AI companies, and they've got to adapt. They don't really have a choice. So what's pushing them? Well, it really comes down to 3 major forces. First off, all these publisher lawsuits are becoming a massive threat. Second, AI companies know that their products are basically useless without reliable, high-quality information. And finally, you're already seeing direct licensing deals become more and more common. The trend is pretty clear. So, where does this leave us? What does this all add up to? Are we looking at the blueprint for how AI and publishers are going to work together from now on? What makes Perplexity's plan such a potential game changer is that it really expands the conversation way beyond just simple licensing deals. It actually acknowledges the new ways that AI uses content through summaries and those agent actions we talked about, and it insists that publishers get a piece of the pie for every single one of them. And that, of course, brings us to the final big question. Perplexity is extending an olive branch here, a new model for how everyone can work together. But is this a real peace treaty between AI and publishing? Or is it just the opening move in a much longer, much more complicated fight over the value of information in this new age of AI? How this plays out? Well, it's probably going to define the future of both of these worlds.